The car we're going to be painting today is a Carrera GT. Now you can see here it's already been pulled apart. Now I'm not a super Carrera GT fan, so I have no idea what the cars actually came with in real life when it comes to color wise, but I'm pretty sure this orange wasn't offered. Now this had stripes on it before which were really ugly, and I took those off the same way I did in a previous process that I showed you guys a couple videos ago. Basically, I just used some paint thinner and lacquer thinner to get it off very carefully. But I still wasn't happy with it, and I want to repaint this one. I have two other ones here. Now, the reason I have so many of these cars is because even in real life, these cars are rare. So to find them in Hot Wheels, I was just buying them every single time I could find one. Now, I know that this kind of this silvery dark gray is an actual color that Porsche did, and same with the red. In fact, the red, the same color is the same one that I saw in Atlanta when we went down to the Porsche headquarters. Another color that I see very often is a yellow. So I would like to do this car a bright yellow, this color right here. Now, I'm pretty sure the colors I've seen this car in it has a tint of orange in it, just a little bit, but in the sun it looks really bright, and I just want this to be super bright. So I got the brightest yellow I could find in this Rust-Oleum, which is the same type of paint I was using for all the other vehicles we've done. Now there's gonna be a couple things different about this car that I'm actually pretty excited for versus these other two. So you can see here that these are Targa tops. I'm not sure the difference between a T-top and a Targa top. I think Targa means that when you pull the roof off, it's completely off, and a T-top means that there's still a bar there. I'm not sure the difference, but either way, the Carrera GT has removable panels, and then it makes it basically into like a convertible. It's completely open in the top. I want to cut the roof off of this car and make it yellow. I've never actually done that to a Hot Wheels car before, like cut it up, so I'm hoping that this works out. If not, I guess I just ruined this Carrera GT. But the one other thing I want to look at here is actually these engine covers. So these engine covers here on these two cars are actually painted just like what they look like in real life. And on this one, this is clear. Now I'm just gonna leave this how it is. Just gonna leave it clear. It's kind of cool. You can see the engine underneath on these two. Obviously, there is an engine underneath there, just like this mold here, but you can't see it because those are basically non-see-through. So I'm gonna leave this. Now, obviously, I'm gonna have to cut this middle piece out so that when I cut the top off the car, it matches up, and then I'll just have to glue it, super glue it back together with the windshield and the engine cover. So with all that being said, let's get this thing cut up. I can't decide whether I want to use the paint stripper on it first and get all the paint off, or if I want to cut it first. I guess I'll decide when you guys see which part comes first. So I completely spaced that my Dremel actually is out of commission and actually MIA right now. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna cut this just across here with probably a handsaw for like metal, and I'll just be really careful not to nick the doors at all. Once I get a line across here, I should be able to slip this onto my belt sander and start in the middle and go this way, and then flip it around, start in the middle again and go that way. And then that way I can slowly chip and grind, and I'll probably leave just a little bit of room so I can hand file when we get to the end here and just make sure that's all real nice and clean and nothing sharp. So here we are 2.5 minutes later, and I did nick it right there, but we'll see when we pull this back if I hit the door. Looks like I touched the door just a little bit right there, but should be okay. So we're gonna get this thing on the sander, and I'm gonna take off that distance there and then this distance here. So here we are 2 minutes later, the roof is now completely gone. It actually took less time to do the belt sander bit than it did to cut it the first time. So now that we're at this point, I'm gonna grab my hand files and smooth it right here because the windshield's kind of curved and I've just got a flat spot because the belt's flat. And then in the back here, it looks pretty good, but again, we'll just smooth it up with a hand file. So this is what it looks like filed down. Obviously it's kind of hard to see, but this piece right here isn't absolutely perfect, but it's getting kind of thin, so I don't want to do any more. But it's all smooth now. There's no edges or barbs on it or anything like that. So at this point, I'm gonna take the painter's tape off. We are going to strip it just like we did with our previous cars using our Jasco Premium Paint and Epoxy Remover. So once we get this stripped down, we'll be able to clean it up and then get it painted yellow. So here's the car stripped out completely. I did have to do a rinse and repeat. There is a lot of area right here that didn't get cleaned up all the way. On top of this guy, down in this little intake by the door kind of area. There's a lot of little creases in here. So I did have to go through and clean them out and do another round of the stripper. But it is clean now. I can see that there is some more work up here to do with the file. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up and then we'll be painting this yellow.
The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go.
It's looking pretty good. There's a spot right here on the fender. I'm not sure where that came from, but I'm going to try to get that cleaned off. I did make sure to get back underneath here because you'll be able to see. You'll just see underneath the roof, like where the seats sit, versus like the other cars where the roof is covering everything. And other than that, everything is looking pretty good. So we're gonna give it some more time, and then I'm gonna probably be putting 3 or 4 coats on the top. So here we are 12 hours later, and the car is basically dried enough that I can handle it without leaving any prints or anything behind. I have 2 coats on the underside, 2 or 3 on the top. The yellow didn't take as well as I was hoping, but the majority of it, if you can see here, is pretty well covered. And then obviously I did 2 coats of clear. So at this point, we're ready to put it back together. I'm not gonna be doing headlights or taillights today. I haven't actually learned how to do headlights or taillights, but what I was told is you paint them black and then you use some white paint to basically kind of make this same design that's like from another car. I'm not brave enough to try it yet, so we're gonna give it a while before I attempt the headlights and taillights on the car. But we're ready to get the car put back together. So I was gonna glue the windshield and the back piece in, but it looks like they won't move as long as the interior and the engine bay piece is on there. It looks like it'll be pretty steady. So I'm gonna slip the bottom of the car on and just see how everything looks. All right, everybody, well, it's been a couple weeks since I painted this Carrera GT yellow. I never actually sealed the body to the underside because I knew at one point I wanted to paint the taillights and the headlights. So today we're gonna be painting the taillights. So this is just caliper paint from O'Reilly's. I shook it up and then we're gonna be using the paint off the lid with a toothpick to paint the taillights, and then the headlights are gonna be kind of similar to this, except for we're gonna be using black paint. We're gonna do the headlights black, and then I'll show you how to make them look a little bit more like a headlight. Now this is my first time doing headlights and taillights, so I'm a little bit nervous, but we're gonna try our best to stay calm, keep a steady hand, and get the back end of this done. I'm more worried about the headlights than the taillights because obviously the taillights are just red. So let's get the taillights done and then we'll move to the front. So I got the back end of this done. I did my best to match this other car here. You can see there's a light bar on the spoiler. I did it on this one too. It kind of went up over the top of the spoiler just a little bit, but I don't think it's really enough to get too upset about. So I'm pretty happy with the taillights actually. Now, the front. So the way we're gonna do the front is I'm gonna get these black, just like these guys here. And then what we'll be doing is using this paint pen. So this is a white paint pen, okay? So we'll be using this white to make that design right there. So I'm gonna be doing the simplified version. My red car, the other Carrera GT that I have, is a lot more complicated. So I'm not gonna be doing that one, I'll be doing this one. So in order to get the black paint that we're gonna be using, I just used a can of black spray paint and I sprayed it into the lid and I'm gonna let it sit. So right now it's mixed with the aerosol and it's really runny. So we're gonna let it sit until it becomes kind of gooey, almost like the red caliper paint we were using earlier. Now the reason I'm not using black caliper paint is for a couple reasons. One, the caliper paint, since it's a lot more gooey, I think it actually raises the paint off the car a little bit, which is okay for the taillights, but I don't want that for the headlights. I want the headlights to be pretty smooth. And the other reason I'm not using black caliper paint is because I've never bought any, never had to use it before. I've only ever used red, and I've had one yellow set before. So that's why I'm using this black here. It's really not that difficult. Again, spray it into the lid, let it sit, and we'll decide as it dries when we'll be able to use it. All right, well, I hope I didn't put my hand in front of the camera too much, but I think this turned out absolutely awesome. I didn't think it was gonna look anywhere near this good for my first time on the headlights. So I appreciate everybody for checking this out. I'm very happy again. I'm gonna get this thing put back together. We'll do some cool panning shots of it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.